Welcome. Hi, Yael. You are right on time. What's going on? All right. Let me. I guess I should play some music or something as people come in. How are you? I had so much fun yesterday. Hey, Toya. I am going to pull up. I'm excited for this conversation. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Toya, I think whenever. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna send the request whenever. Hop on so we can get this conversation going. Hey,
Hey,
Toya.
peace and love.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I am really good. I'm excited for today. I've been looking
Me too.
forward to this conversation.
Yes, I'm excited
Yes.
too.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. How's your day going so far?
It's been good so far.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love the head wrap. We head
thank you.
wrapping.
I just actually two-strand twist my hair like a couple hours ago. So
Nice, nice,
yeah.
nice. Hey everybody. I guess we could like introduce ourselves. Um, and like talk a little bit about why we're here. So I go by Makeda. I am a passion fulfiller. That just means I'm a creative of all sorts. I'm a poet. I'm a doula. I love movement. I just recently launched a podcast called Affirmation. Um, and yeah, I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about the real, as Toya puts it. I'm excited to
Yes.
talk about the real, about positive living and positively affirming and just positivity altogether. I'm just here to like shed my personal journey and also learn about Toya's and just communicate with each other and you guys. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Yes. Peace and love, everybody. My name is Toya, and I go by Goldn.Light. I have a self-care service-based business where my desire in a sense is to help others expand their self-awareness. So we go through different self-care tools from journaling, voice memos, self-care cards for us to really take accountability and also work on ourselves. So a lot of that deals with being positive, but the reason why I'm also excited about being here and talking about this because I feel like it kind of makes you feel like you always have to be happy. And I know since we talked about this. So outside of that, I'm an avid person that speaks to journaling as a tool. And I use that a lot. It has helped me transform in a lot of ways in my personal journey. And I have a write it down series where I share weekly journal prompts with different things that just encourage you guys to think deeply, but especially think for yourself,
Yeah.
stripping away from certain illusions or certain ways that we may have been conditioned to think, whether it deals with childhood trauma, insecurities, different fears, and being able to understand our emotions better so that we can create the reality that we choose for ourselves. So,
Right.
yes,
Right.
all about self-care, but like really the inner work with self-care is
Yes.
really my focus.
Yes, I so connect to the journal series that you got going on. I love them. Them prompts be hitting home. I be like, why are you going there though? But it's all part of their journey of positive living. I did write a few questions, but of course, like you guys are feel free to ask questions or leave comments, which you guys are already doing. Thank you so much for that. But this is just a space where we could challenge each other in different ways. And I think one of the things that I want to talk about before we get into like the nitty gritty of it is like why why do you choose this lifestyle like of positive living? Like, what are the benefits that keep you like, I think this is good for me?
Hmm. I feel like for me personally, when I reached a point in my life where I really was intentional about where I was, where I plan to go, but how my past has affected me to
Mm,
understand myself, like where I am,
right.
and just reaching a point that I know what parts of my life that I boxed myself. I know what parts of my life that I allowed insecurity and fears to hold
Mm-hmm.
me back in a sense. And it's really just come to the point where it's just like, enough is enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is
Right.
not what I choose. So with positivity and things like that, it's more so the honesty that comes with it. You know, I've been honest with myself in different ways, but it's like a different level of honesty that says to even get to a positive point is dealing with
Right.
the negative shit. So
Hmm.
it's
And
like,
you get into it. You get into it already. Yes. Yes.
right. So it's just like even understanding my own light is coming
Mm.
from sitting with the shit I didn't like about myself,
Yeah.
the shit that I compared, you know what I'm saying? The stuff that
Mhm.
I was scared to speak up about, just other things. So you go through that feeling of frustration and, well, damn, I used to feel like, why am I just now doing this? Like, you know, within
Right.
the past 5 years, why just now? Like, why can I automatically have it where I didn't have to go through these different things? But honestly,
Right.
I appreciate it. And that's even where that perspective is what allows me to understand the things that I was kind of blind to with myself.
Right. Right. I totally agree. And I think this is why, and I use the word choose because I think that's a main part of it is
Right.
choosing like this. Like there are several other ways of life. Like, you know, there's like a zillion different ways that we can go about approaching life and doing life every day. But I choose um positively living because I feel the benefits of it in the sense
Mm.
where when I think when I was embarking on this like journey of like kind of shifting, and when I say positive living, like the way I imagine it is literally shifting my thinking
Yeah.
from what I see going on in my environment and not being consumed by it. That's what I mean by that for me, you know? I think I make this choice in order for me to not be consumed, in order for me to believe that there is more to life than what we see and even what we experience.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I mean, I'll speak for myself, like I have been through some really dark things, you know, and I don't think that I truly don't believe that that's my purpose and that it should dictate my whole entire life. And it
Right.
goes back to what you're saying about spending time with those dark moments because positive living for me means that I address those things. I don't run away from it, but I'm speaking life onto myself.
Right.
That's how I see it. I'm seeing how there have been dark moments. There have been our environments are crazy, society is crazy, but I'm choosing to seek the beauty. I'm seeking to find faith and hope and every day because I do believe that we deserve joy. And I
Yes.
feel like there's a lot of things trying to strip us of that, like that we deserve joy.
Right.
So I feel like that's why I choose positive living. Also because it affects everybody that I'm around, everybody that I love. Like I just feel like it's like a ripple effect just by me living this way, just by me journaling, just by me like reflecting for myself. Like people that I love, they get a brunt of that too. You know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that by making this choice, I get to affect my community. I get to affect the people that I love in a
Mm-hmm.
positive way. Like
And and that's so true that you even said like it is a choice, right? And I
right.
feel like life is made up of choices and decisions that
Hmm.
we're making every day. And
Right.
even to, I agree and resonate with everything you say as well. And it also makes me think of when I choose positively living, also because positivity means that I'm not giving up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It doesn't mean that I'm like always in the emotion of being joyful or feeling happy and things like that. It's about that I'm looking for a solution. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Right.
being positive about, hey, a choice. I want to change, right? I
Right.
want something different in my life. I want something different
Mm-hmm.
for myself. So now it's like being positive allows my mind to see opportunities, whether it's tangible opportunities or internal opportunities where
Yeah.
I'm breaking up apart things in myself of what's in my way. So it's like me being positive also is about me not giving up on myself, right?
Mhm.
Giving, and like you said, it does affect the people that you're around, you know? And I
Yeah.
think sometimes it gets bought to where like me, because I'm always optimistic in the sense of problem solving,
Hmm.
I can't sit with something that's non-solution based for too long. You know, I've always been like that. And I'm also the type of friend that's like, look, we gonna find a way.
We
Like
gonna find a way.
I'm not just gonna settle. I'm not just gonna settle with
Right.
this answer or this situation. I've never been like
Right.
that. And even
And
to
you
the
know
point
what's
where
so crazy? Like and okay, because it's called positively affirming. I think the other part about choosing this like
hmm
life and this lifestyle and being this way is that
hmm
most people actually do it. The other part of affirming I'll talk about is believing. So what
yes.
you just said is I don't want to, like, I will go through it, but I have faith, like I have hope that I'm not going to let this thing win, right? And that is one of the things I know people say all the time is where there's a will, there's a way. That's
hmm
a whole affirmation, but you have to actually believe it to make the way. Like, it's not, oh, there's a will there. And I feel like a lot of people we say a lot of affirming things, but do we believe it? And are you spending enough time reflecting on why you don't believe it so you could get to a point to believe it? Because
Exactly.
one of the things we were talking about too is sometimes I say affirmations, and this is a misconception too, is
hmm
that because I'm all affirmation, that I'm always believing them. No, I have to practice. I have to practice. Sometimes I say things as an affirmation to myself because I really need to get myself to believe it. Maybe I remember the first time I was doing Affirmantra T on live,
hmm
and it was a very simple affirmation. Somebody said it was, I am worthy. Why did I feel like I wanted to cry? Because the truth of the matter is that there were moments where I did not feel
Feel
worthy.
worthy.
But guess what I did on that live? I said it over and over and over and over and over again because I'm like, yo, but I am worthy. I don't
Right.
feel worthy today. I didn't feel worthy yesterday, but I know that I am. So I need to practice saying it, and I also need to practice believing it. You know, I think that's a part of positive living that people don't see or
Mhm.
like understand. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. And that believing aspect is how we're connecting like mind to heart, you know what I'm saying? And how
Mm,
like with intentions and affirmations, it is
right.
emotions that you're going to like. I can say I feel beautiful, I am beautiful, but
Yeah.
if I don't actually feel that way, there's
Mm,
also still a disconnect between what I feel, you know what I mean?
right.
That's why for me, when it comes to creating my own affirmation, it starts with a lot of root work with me going through the issue,
Okay.
right? So it's like, okay, I can say I'm beautiful, but I'm going to repeat it. But what makes it strong for me to say, I'm going to say this every day, I'm going to write this down every day, is because I went through this journey to understand why I didn't feel beautiful. And then
Right.
now this affirmation creates a bridge that I'm now working on reprogramming my mind on
Right.
how I feel to get to that belief. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
our
Right.
subconscious is already used to the patterns that's already sent. So if I have 10 years of a certain insecurity, it's going to
Mm.
take more than just one day of saying an affirmation for me to
Right.
believe it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
because you don't believe it right away doesn't mean you have to stop from saying it, because guess what we naturally do? I'm not beautiful. How many times am I going to say that though?
Right.
Enough to where now I believe it. So I have
Mm.
to switch it around to say like, okay, I may still feel this way, but when my feelings catch up, guess what? I'm gonna keep speaking this shit.
Right.
Like,
Right. And it's, again, I feel like we are, I mean, in this generation, I noticed that like we're already like kind of doing it. I think maybe the struggle or the challenge is literally not like saying it, but living it. You know, like I I truly believe that everything that we're talking about right now takes practice. And I'm in the middle of it right now.
right
Like,
now.
and I don't think that I'm gonna stop. Like, life goes on. Like, there's so much for me to learn. So I'm in the middle of it now, but I feel like we have to deprogram ourselves or unlearn to learn. Like, I think that's a
Exactly.
better way of saying it. We have to unlearn to learn. And I think choosing a positive living or affirming ourselves or journaling, it's a choice we're making to address some of the darker areas of our lives. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that makes so much sense because it is a continuous work because the way that I see it sometimes it's almost like when I'm working on myself in a particular area and I get to the reason of what's at the root, right? What's way deep below the surface, right? And I
Right,
get and I'm like, yes, okay. But then I'm like, oh gosh, this is now to rebuild it takes a lot of work. It takes
right,
consistency, it takes being intentional, it takes actually doing the work. But as you're doing the work, it allows you to, it changes your perspective. It causes
right,
you to be way more aware of what you're saying, what you're
right,
doing, who you're around, right?
right.
So it's like a never, we're always evolving. You know what I mean? And even
Always.
for me to sometimes say to myself, like, and I had talked about this in one of my other videos, it's like, I'll be like, I'm proud of myself. And then
Mm.
I would say, but I still got a long way to go. Right. And it's almost like I didn't allow myself to just embrace being proud because I
Right.
know there's always somewhere to go. But right now, I can enjoy and be proud of where I am, knowing that there is still more
Mm.
work. And like you said, it's gonna come down to a choice. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
always down to a choice that also drives your will. And
right,
how much more work are you going to put in and be committed to the work that you're doing for yourself?
right, right. I so resonate. I just want to say hi to everybody. Hi, Alexa K, Lavanye, all of you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. I think that I just wanted to share some stuff that I'm seeing. There was like a paragraph, and I like positive literally communicates growth. It's everything for us to choose growth. I totally agree. You can always reflect back on the darkness and say never again. It's a point of reference. Woo!
Oh, I
Ancient
like that.
poetry. Yes. Yes. The darkness is necessary because it reveals how much better life can be. And see, that is also a point. Like, how would we know what light was if we didn't experience darkness?
Exactly.
You
And
know,
I
like, how would we know?
and it's like almost like darkness getting a bad rep. There's just like it's actually like it's almost like when they talk about gardening and planting, you know what I'm saying? The seeds going in the soil, you know what I mean? It's not
Right,
having light at that moment, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that's happening at the root. And sometimes
right.
it's the root is infected. You do have to
Hmm.
go down there, and that is that point of reference to understand what direction you even want to change to go into, you know? So it's like I have so much gratitude for darkness. I have so much gratitude
Right.
for fears and
Oh,
insecurities to where now I can, I always feel sometimes it's like I just got these powers and I'm just like, okay, here's my insecurities, here's my fear, here's my bad thought, here's my, and I'm being able to maneuver it in a way that I can then still walk more fulfilled in my life. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
how that affects other people and things like that.
For sure, for sure. I I do I'm like noting that you said darkness gets a bad rep. It does, but I mean we all have like shadow work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel like one of the things with positive living is that we have and that we have to address is that everybody's journey is different,
Right.
you know. So my form of positive living could look so different from yours, you know what I'm saying? But again, it goes back to the core of it all is making a choice, like making a choice to show up for yourself. And
Yes.
when you do that, like you're showing up for yourself, but you don't know how many other people you're affecting. Like how many times that, you know, I'm sharing an affirmation or I'm talking to my friends. And because I've built this within myself, now I'm talking to them like, no, it's okay. Like that didn't work out, girl. Something bigger is coming.
Mm-hmm.
like it's so natural for me to start saying these things and
Mm-hmm.
to motivate the people around me. So I
Yeah.
think it's a lot deeper than just, you know, saying sweet stuff to yourself. I think we can agree like now too that there's a level of shadow work that has to be
Has
done.
to be done. Yep.
Um,
That's so true. And just being that, and like I said, going back to the creativity that you even use in how you're being positive and your word
mhm.
choice and your actions, and it does
Right.
affect people that you're around. And even what you said about showing up for yourself, it's
Hmm.
like it allows other people then to, I used to say this thing like the light in me to wake the light in you.
And you,
But our
right,
journey isn't going to look the same, but it's
right.
almost like there's something that we can always pull from each other that allows
Mhm.
us to tap back into something that we almost had hidden within ourselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that part of that journey is still going to still look different. So it's just this exchange that happens with being with people and also being a visionary to see possibilities of something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Perspective changes the game in so many
Oh my
different ways.
God, the shift going from self-talk. I feel like I struggled and sometimes I still struggle with my
Mm-hmm.
self-talk, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but choosing this lifestyle and choosing to affirm myself, it knocks out the lies because
Mm.
we tell ourselves people lie to us, but we also have to be truthful and say that we lie to ourselves.
Right.
We say we're our biggest critic. We say that we can't do. I can't do this. Or in this era of social media, we spend some time comparing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We do that. Like it might not even be somebody who's living their best life, but because we see that, we're like, they're living their best life. What am I doing? What am I doing? So we have to hold ourselves accountable too.
Right.
And I feel as though because I choose this lifestyle, I'm choosing a war. Like, and the war is to fight for myself. I no longer believe that I can't. If
Yeah.
I want to, I can. See, like just changing the words. Oh, this might be challenging. You know, this is gonna be real challenging. A challenge, you can overcome a challenge, guys. Like even saying the choosing the words
Mm.
are important too. You know, it's not negating the fact that it will be hard.
Right.
No, it's approaching it as it will be hard, but I am bigger than that, you know. Or the last few days, the routine that I created for myself, I didn't stick to it. Okay, but oh, you know what? I can try again. Like
Yes.
the perspective, the shift, I think is it's life-giving. It's
Yes.
for us, like you said, to not give up on life, you know? Does that make sense?
A lot of sense. And it's so many things I was thinking about when you were mentioning it as well, because it's like you can have these ideas and solutions for a way of living for yourself and being positive, right?
Right.
But it's also understanding that the emotions that come with that are
Mm-hmm.
not always in this lightful type of feeling, right?
Right.
So when we get like that, we even sometimes could tell ourselves like, well, this must be wrong, this ain't right, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
to experience joy still understands that there's pain to experience as
Hmm.
well, you know what I mean, in a
Hmm.
sense. So
Hmm.
it's like I don't want to say like, oh, you gotta go through pain to understand joy. You know, this, I don't feel like it always has to be that
Right.
way, but it's just like when you are working and you are going towards something, don't think that a day off or falling back is meaning that you can't ever move forward. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just
Right.
being aware of what's happening and say like, okay, I know what keeps me grounded, right? So
Hmm.
when I fall off from that, I know what I need to get back to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Right.
feel like it's not a linear process. It's like
Not at
it's
all. Not
literally
at
like
all. It's like
look,
this.
and
No,
I just feel like it's new
seriously.
points every single time. And that's why sometimes even looking at a spiral in a sense just shows how like even growing in that type of form is like a beginning and an end and a
Right.
continuously.
Right. I know you're like big into like journaling and stuff like that. Your prompts literally are on point all the time. There's just super reflective, but how do you feel like the journaling process helps you with this lifestyle?
Well, especially like for me, I'm somebody that I can have a lot of things going on within my mind, and I'm a very visual person. So like not just visual in the sense of like if I think of a car or a house, I can see it. Like when it comes to my emotions, like I can use my emotions to create visuals that gives me more understanding about how I feel.
Right.
And using just being reflective, you know, whether it's something I want to come or something that has already happened. A lot is just happening in my head. So journaling allows me to really kind of sort through what I'm dealing with, whether it's something that's good, I get an idea, it's a business venture or whatever the case may be, and I need to kind of like get it out. Like, you know, I need to do some laundry, I need to sort some things, or on the same aspect of things that I'm dealing with. So like now I feel like I reached a point where like I can't hide from myself. I can't. And if something is happening and I feel like I'm moving to a situation of jealousy or comparison, I can't even go too far with it. Be like, right? So it makes me think of like, why am I feeling this way? I start to ask myself these things. So like I'll sit with it, but journaling allows me to get it out as a way to keep myself accountable. You know, to track my progress in a sense. And then also just rereading my entries. Like I'll go back and reread the entry. I'm like, like I can tell by my handwriting, the time. Like I my journal is like, it's me, like when I need me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like it has allowed me to be honest, because there can be a denial that can happen here. And that even if I tell myself like that ain't what it is, you know what's up, right? But to write it on paper sometimes has hard. Like when I wrote that I was a people pleaser, I was like but working through it, being a perfectionist, all these things that is just like, okay, but wait a second. As I'm flowing and writing, not being judgmental, not being critical, and just getting it out, the spirit is moving with me. Because now I'm able to see what is going on with me. You know what I'm saying? So that's a way where I feel like sometimes I'm scribing to myself, and that's healing for me as I'm working through myself. You know?
Right. No, I totally agree. I think the most I connect with is I feel like when I write it down, I am holding myself accountable. Well, the very first thing journaling does for me is I'm not the most vocal. I have to process. Like I need time to process. And my journal is always there. Like, you know, it's there to hold down that period of processing and ask those questions like, well, today I felt like this and why? Or even like I'm in the state of gratitude. I need to remember that this state of gratitude exists. I need to write this down. You know what I'm saying? My ideas, I feel like when you put it down on paper, it's a contract with yourself, for yourself, that you can go back to at any time. I feel like journaling for me is more so, I started journaling because I struggled with expressing myself vocally. And I'm also a poet, so like poetry helps me with that. Nobody can come at my like you don't have to like my poetry, but it's really not even about you. Like it's about me. And it's about what I have to say. And at this point, whenever I'm journaling or reciting my poetry, whatever the case may be, nobody can say anything because it's me. Like you can relate, you can say, you could snap, but at this particular time, I am being 100% authentic, raw. Here I am. You know, and so I feel like with journaling, it gives me that same feeling of I get to be vulnerable. I can say, I can doodle, I could write one sentence, and that was my journal entry for the day. And I will understand where I was at that time, what I was doing. Um, and it also, listen, I have a few journal entries that have like literally helped me shift my
Yeah.
life. I published a self-published poetry book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really quick story, but I got the first copy of the book. And when I got the first copy of the book, I was excited. The day goes on, I didn't go through the book at all. Like, I just was so happy that I got it.
Got it.
Then I'm looking at the book, I'm spending time with the book, and I see things in the book that I don't like. I
Mm-hmm.
found a couple errors, okay? And so now my self-talk wasn't the greatest. Now I'm going through this, oh my gosh, why does it look like this? What made you
Mm-hmm.
think that you can do this? There's an error in there. Mind you, this is just a copy. So I told myself, I was like, this feels weird. So I am going to journal. And as I started to journal, obviously I was emotional because I'm like, yo, this voice, like this negative self-talk, it's just not, it's like not real, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
not healthy. And as I start to journal, I literally start to tell myself that is a lie. You made a mistake here. This is just a copy, your first copy. Go fix it. Like, I'm
You
writing to
gotta get.
myself like, wait, hold on. You got your first copy. It's not the way you expected it to be. All this stuff. As I'm journaling about these feelings, I'm also journaling to myself all the ways that I can come out.
Yes.
Like,
Come
I'm
out.
like, this is a lie. You are a poet. Like, I was starting to say things that just were not true to myself. And I had to write that down. I had to be like,
Yes.
hey, that part up there, I think I even did an arrow. I was like, arrow, that
Look.
part is a lie. That's not true. Like, that is not true at all. You
Yes.
know? And
That's
so I feel like
true.
journaling is like the first few letters. It's a journey. It's part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling,
I
journey.
like that. And so many good points you had, even going back to that. I wasn't as vocal as a child. There was a time period when I was really young, like I didn't talk at all. Like,
Right.
you know, I always hear stories like, remember that time you just didn't say a word? And I was just like, that's all I remember, like just not as, so journaling has
Right.
always been like an outlet for me. Like speaking in my
Mhm.
journal, you know, poetry, writing, just using
Yeah.
words to translate, you know, my feelings and things like that. So it's always been close to me in a
Mhm.
way to like get my feelings out, get my thoughts out, get my ideas out, right?
Right.
So what I noticed that helped with vocalizing is when I started to do voice notes, right? And that
That's
was even a
good.
challenge initially because I would cringe at hearing myself speak.
Oh my gosh.
I
Right.
would be like, oh my God, you know, and I was so judgmental. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I forced myself to, what actually happened one day, and it's so crazy because the memory that I have on Facebook for today was a meditation that came from a voice memo. And
Wow.
it was me talking about something that I was fearful of,
Hmm.
and I got the voice memo out. So like my voice memos, I'm like, it's me to me. Like I'm talking how I
Yeah.
want to talk. Like I don't care how I sound. Like I'm
Mhm.
just getting it out, right? So when I go back and listen to it, I now become a listener of myself. So I'm like, this is
A
why
listener
you sound
of
like
stuff.
that? I'm like, dang,
Right.
you know, I could hear my tone, my emotions, and I was just like, no, like I wanted to go hug her, but it was me. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So just being able to realize how powerful that was, I started doing voice notes. Every
Right.
time, like when I couldn't journal and run away to write, hit record. I'd be in a car driving, washing dishes. When I needed to get it out, I would get it out. It
Right.
was a way for me to store my ideas as well. But going back to hear myself speak is my personal meditations. They are a way for me to help me visualize and also
Right.
see like something that I can't see when it's me speaking. We need that other perspective, that
Hmm.
bird view in a sense, to say, okay, let me listen as if, you know, when you listen to somebody else, you observe everything that they do. Like
Yeah.
my analytical nature allowed me to heal certain parts of myself that I couldn't see because I was so close to it. So I
Right.
had to take a step back. So voice notes and journaling has really helped. And even when you said the type of journal that you like an arrow, look, I go from list to paragraph to pictures to breaking down words to asking
Right.
myself questions. I know when we did the
Yeah.
workshop, it was like, wait, this prompt actually caused another question. That journey with, like you said, I love that you said journey. Like that's
Yeah,
really what it is. Like this exploring yourself, exploring your desires, exploring your needs, right?
right.
It's not always a fun process or a
No,
light
it's
process,
not.
but
It's not.
knowing to get those, like you said, get those lies out sometimes. Sometimes I'm overthinking too much about
Mhm.
something, and then I have to get it out, and then I'm like, okay, whew, like that needs to go. I need space. I need a
Right,
space here. You know what I'm saying? For
right.
you.
No, seriously. I'm gonna read some of these comments. I only went a little bit up. But Yael says, committed for sure. It takes loads of discipline. I feel
Yeah.
like loads of people give up as soon as something doesn't go their way.
Mm,
Yeah, definitely. Dear Alexa K says, if you have trouble believing an affirmation you write or say, switch it up a bit. An example of that would be, I am stressed. I am stress free. Switch. I am open to the possibility of life without stress. Yes, I again that goes back
that's a
to,
good one.
be real with yourself. Use the words that you use. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. Palm Tree 428 says, Black women have always put our needs last. Self-love is revolutionary. You
Mm.
can't pour from an empty cup. I feel like that's a whole affirmation right there.
Oh,
Word choices are powerful, definitely. We learn, Palm Tree says, we learn helplessness. You never see a child give up on walking just because they fall a few times. And that's also a good point because I think what I have been practicing recently too is kind of like my inner child.
yes.
Um, just that I feel like there was a point in almost everybody's life where somebody shot down a dream. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
stopped us from completing a sentence. Somebody said, "Oh my gosh, why are you wearing that?" And that was kind of like the moment when we started to doubt ourselves. Like,
Mm.
I feel like there's this moment because kids come out and they're like, I'm gonna wear a princess dress today, and it's like 4 degrees outside, and or like walking, you know what I'm saying? They have this like fearless attitude, and I want to know, like, when is it that we lose that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and doing writing workshops, a lot of the times we go back to that, like that inner child that needs healing. And I really feel like that is because there's a moment where someone we love, someone we looked up to, or a member of our community, or that time we were at a community center and we wanted to join the singing group and they said we couldn't because we were off pitch or something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a moment that sticks with us, and it kind of dictates how we go about the rest of our lives. Like, you know what I'm saying? I get stage fright, but I feel like I remember a time where I wasn't scared, but I
Mm-hmm.
think there was a time where I messed up and it was like chuckled at, and I was like, oh my gosh. And
Yes.
that stuck with me, so it made any other time I was performing or doing anything on a stage like really dreadful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
A lot of sense, and it's stored in our subconscious that it becomes like what we're familiar, what our mind is familiar to, what
Right,
our body's familiar to. And sometimes it's multiple moments that to a
right.
point where like it becomes the real or the reality of what we think. And that's
Mhm.
why when I have moments to sit with my inner child, sit with my past, it's almost as if like now I can destroy some of those illusions because I realized
Right.
where they have came from that
Mhm.
changed my perspective. And children are a great example
Yeah.
of how we can, because they have this innocence and they're naive to certain things because they haven't got a chance to experience all,
Experience
but they
that.
also have a spirit that teaches us. Like we can always, no matter how, we can always learn from each other, even children. So
Right.
my inner child sometimes just shows me how much more to be bold and to creative and not so concerned with opinions of people. But because I've been in situations where, like you said, you might have shared something, did something, and the
Mhm.
response caused you to shift. Now you see that everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
breaking that down and rebuilding it back to the core of the foundation that you had. And that's why I also feel like, on another note, kind of going within is that closeness that I feel with the Most High. you know. So there's
Mm.
so many layers with this that it can get really deep, but it's really fruitful, you know.
Ha. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. Like, I think, and this is why, like, going back to, like, this is why we have to spend time with ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
like the whole, one of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation was because I think you had sent me a post or something, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, that is so spot on. Like, I think people have this idea of that because you choose this life, you're positive all the time. But we all have this inner child that needs healing. And if we don't do that type of work, then our adult lives are affected. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no way for this positive living to always be peachy because
Yeah.
we have no choice but to address some of the darkest moments of our lives. And I know we keep talking about like the darkness, but it's also like we talk, I feel like this lifestyle and this choice that I've made has also called me to pay attention to all the things that I do have,
Yeah.
all the things that I am grateful for. This lifestyle has literally humbled me and allowed me to, I think I was saying this during the workshop, that I used to have this tendency of like, if somebody doesn't align as far as even opinions, you guys, please don't judge me. But this is true. This is true. And I had to address this. If somebody did not align with my ideas,
Mm-hmm.
or, and I'm talking about, it could be like a personal thing or even like things going on in the world, I would be like, we don't align. Snip, snip. Don't talk to me. We can never be cool. Like, me, you, no. You know, and I had that mindset. But how would I learn if I agreed, if I only talked to people that I agreed with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how would I learn? And so this lifestyle has also made me realize that I need to not just like listen, I need to hear. I need
Yeah.
to, there are things that I need to receive. I am not perfect. I need you. Like, we need each other to bounce ideas off of each other, to challenge each other. And is there a way for me to do that safely? Yes. You know, I can live this lifestyle. And I think this is the one of the greatest benefits is that I can now be around people that I might not see eye to eye with, but I give them this level of grace because I'm like, oh, they have a journey. Like, oh, they have this experience that brought
Mm-hmm.
them to this place. It humbles me. It makes me grateful. It makes me open to learning, which is something that I don't feel like we should ever stop doing. We should always be learning, you know. As far as my communication, I mean, I wouldn't go off on anybody, but I had that I'm not talking anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I said what I said, but it also gives me this opportunity to say what I have to say and find peace. We were talking about like, I don't have to argue anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to be rah rah and be stirred up and go home and be like, I told them. I don't have to do that because I have this thing about how I think now, where it's just like, I'm just learning. We're connecting. We don't have to align all the time. It's okay. So I feel like even the way I approach situations has shifted. Day
Yeah.
to days, going to work, um, embarking on long journeys, my perspective has changed. And I think I'm the most grateful for that, you know?
Yes, that's so true. And I think that that level of being connected with people in that way expands because you also understand how much you're shifting and moving in your own journey. So it
Right.
allows you to be at a better place to be someone that can just listen. And even when you spoke to that, it made me think about me also being a person that can think of solutions, right? Can be
Right.
positive or have that mindset of like, okay, we
Hmm.
don't want to stay here, we want to change. What I find that I have to bring balance with myself is being in a space of when it is time to speak, to take
Hmm.
action, but
Yeah.
also listen and not push for a solution because the space is just needed to be heard, you know? So
Right.
even when I come in contact with people, like I said, I have a natural nature to be like, if you be like, girl, I don't got shoes for this, I'm like, what size you got? If I can't do it,
Right.
I know somebody that knows somebody, I got you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We gonna solve this problem, you know? And even within my friendship and relationship and things like that, I realized there was space to where like, this may not be a moment to
Hmm.
solve the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, like, not also being so quick to voice the positivity and allowing someone else to feel the real of being angry, the real
Yes.
of being sad.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think
So
that's the
I had to check
definition.
myself with that because I'm like, oh no, you know, it's not close. And it's like, let them feel what they feel first, because that's also how I am with myself.
Exactly. I think that is like the definition of toxic positivity. I think toxic positivity, like the easiest way for me to define it is like toxic positivity is when you're not spending time
Mm,
with your feelings, with the emotions, when you're
mm-hmm.
running away instead of addressing. I
Dressing.
think that is toxic positivity when you cover it up with a it's gonna be okay. But yeah, but it's okay to be like, I don't feel like it's gonna be okay right now. Like I feel like that's okay. That's a real feeling. Like
Yes.
life is crazy. It's overwhelming. It's okay to say to even say it, but it's also going back to a choice.
Voice.
Are we going to stay here? Are we going to stay in this place and bask in it and roll in it and hand it off to people? Like no, you have to make the choice. Like again, going back to changing your word choice, like is it impossible or is it a challenge, like
Mm-hmm.
those type of things. So I feel like there is when we were talking about doing this, like I was excited because I'm like, yo, I feel you. People think that we're positive all the time and that we're just happy go lucky. And like I fall and I scrape my knee and I don't cry. Like
Mm-hmm.
no, like I go through the motions. I think that I'm making a choice on
Mm-hmm.
how I approach them though, how I approach that moment. So I can have friends who feel comfortable to vent to me too, and
Right.
who don't need me to be like, okay, sis, I feel you, but like, it's all gonna be okay, when in that moment it might not feel like that. You know what I'm saying? There is a, a way to feel our emotions and be in our emotions and still move positively. I think
Yes.
that's the point, you know?
And I agree with that because you have to be able to, like, if I feel anger and I know that there's something better that's going to come, it
Mm-hmm.
almost like forces me to say that I can't feel what I feel. You know,
Hmm.
like when something happens to you and they be like, well, somebody done had it worse. Like I would tell myself or feel guilty about having certain emotions because I
Yeah.
know that there's a worse situation. But at the same time, it's just like, wait, so it's not okay for me to be upset about what happened. It's not okay for me
Yo.
to be angry. So I had to change that too, to say like, before I even get to the positivity for myself, let me feel my anger. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Not to say like, when I'm able to like understand my emotions, I'm not gonna allow anger to just like be a tyrant and I'm just knocking shit over. You know what I mean? But it's
Right.
more so saying like, I feel this anger, and whether I gotta cry, whether I gotta write, whether I gotta vent, I'm gonna get it out, and then I allow the anger to teach me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's just like, I don't want to fight with my emotions because that's also not fruitful. It's not. It's not. If we're gonna talk about honesty with journaling and positivity, you got to be real when you upset. You got to be real when you're feeling jealous.
Right.
You got to
Call
be
it
real with
out. Call
all
that shit
emotions
out.
you have. You know what I'm
Call
saying?
it out. Right. No, definitely. Definitely. I don't, I really don't encourage running away from your emotions. I just don't do it. Like, no. And I think for me personally, I spent I mean, I'm of Haitian descent. So
Mm-hmm.
in my culture, you know, there's several different reasons why I felt like I had to run away from my emotions. Like there
Mm-hmm.
were times where it was like, you crying, why are you crying? You have no reason to cry. And it's just like, but why do I feel it? Like why do I feel it? Or there's just so many different reasons why I felt like I had to run away from my emotions. But
Mm-hmm.
I will not lie to anybody, when I did that, nothing good came of it. I went into my adult years being afraid to have a conversation with a boss. Like I had like if you were an authority, like I
Mm-hmm.
would just be nervous and shrivel up. Like it would just show
Mm-hmm.
up in my life in different ways. People would ask my opinion, and then I'd be scared to share my opinion. Like people would ask, and I'd be like, no, they don't really want to. Do you know how many like you don't know how many rooms you walk into and they need you? Like you're, in my mind in the past, I was like, oh no, I'm not necessary in this room. Everybody else can talk. Do you
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how many people you could have been, I could have been impacting. You could have been
Right.
impacting. But because you were like in your head and letting the negative self-talk or the trauma that was not dealt with, or the healing work that wasn't done, infiltrate your adult life, like it just affects absolutely everything. Like
Everything.
it seems small, but I always tell people, like, I truly do believe in the power of our words, because
Yes.
that's where it starts. You have to literally speak to yourself, and sometimes against. You have to be like, no, self, you're lying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just so interesting.
It's
It's
so
just so
much.
interesting being an adult and seeing, like, reflecting on my childhood or when I was
Mm-hmm.
like a teenager, and how many different ways like I chose to silence myself and how it affected my adult life, you know?
Yes, it's a couple two thing. When you said like even your descent, so me and one of my other friends, like both of our parents are from Jamaica, so we would send the memes and funny stuff back and forth. Like there would be nothing that you could complain about, and it'd be satisfied as a justified complaint. Like like you can be like, oh,
Yeah,
I don't feel good. Well, you should have been doing this. It's like I feel like I didn't realize how much it may have caused me to feel like I don't need to address my feelings because there's
right,
always something else. So it was like the positivity, but like the harsh to forget what you feel. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And I noticed someone also said about breath work with anger, which is so true. Breath work, even with overthinking and things like that, that really allows me to just come back to a center so that there's clarity within my mind. But everything going back to, like you said, happening in your past and happening like affecting you now, and when you're not using your voice, when you feel timid to stand your ground and speak up for something, when you're in a room you feel like you don't have a place to be here when you do. So
Right.
it's so many things that's affected. So even being aware of what our emotions are, why we feel them, what they're even driven by, sometimes by what we're thinking, and that connects
Hmm.
the mind and body when it comes to emotions and thoughts. So
Right, right. I'm gonna read some of these comments again. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. I like what you said, Afro Polynesian, life and death in the same, in the tongue. I like, and that goes back to what I was saying at the top of this live too, is that I think we say things, like there are sayings that we say, but then in that same breath we'll speak death onto ourselves too. So like that's so real.
mm-hmm,
We're taught to suck it up, that emotions are weak, which
mm-hmm,
is why mental illness is on the rise, because we haven't been given permission to feel.
mm-hmm.
That is so true, so true. I always heard the good old why are you crying? Yeah, you guys, I've gotten that a lot.
I need something to cry about.
Yeah, our culture lacks emotional intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
emotional security. Yes, I need to think more about the emotional security, because I think that goes back to us also feeling like crying is weak, or
Mm-hmm.
venting that we're having a tough day is weak. Like we can say these things and still be secure in ourselves. I think
Yes.
that's something that I know that I need to work on too, you know? Breath work is super powerful. Super, breath work is a superpower when angry. Yup. Yup. It's definitely okay if you feel like things aren't going to be okay right now. And speaking to the times, hey Claire, hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I feel like speaking to the times, um, I guess this is a question too. With everything going on right now, like current events,
Mm-hmm.
how important do you find it to be in this life and lifestyle of positively living and using affirmations and using journaling? Like, how important do you think it is right now?
It's, for me personally, even at where I am in my journey, it's extremely important because not only have I seen like the fruit of it and what's
Mhm.
been working, it's I'm somebody that like I can absorb things easily. So from things that I see, things that I hear, things that I read, you know what I'm saying? So I have to be mindful of that. So the more that I'm aware and in tune and also striving to create a more positive uh lifestyle in a sense, I'm going to be affected. My environment affects me the same way I can affect
Yeah.
my, environment. So it's kind of like I feel like I have to be aware. Like that has been my whole thing, like to be self-aware because there's so much going on and there's going to continue to have so much more stuff going on. But I
Right.
don't want to be in chaos and be chaos within. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying? So
right.
I can't do that.
Right. Someone said it's life or death for me, and I think I connect to that totally. Um, because I know that I like to be informed. Like
hmm
I I like to be in the know, and I think it's also important for us to know what's happening in our world. Like, I think there's a level of being tapped in that is necessary. Um,
But I got to tap
I
in.
I fear I fear um one of my fears, especially for our community,
hmm
is that because of all the things that's happening, down to the climate, down to
hmm
spiritually, like with everything going on, I fear that people will stray away from joy. They will
hmm
stray away from living a life that isn't like living a life that doesn't include anxiety 24/7. I fear for that, like, because I fear it for myself. There's times where I'm very much consumed by what's happening, and I'm like overwhelmed, and I'm like tossing and turning because I'm like, yo, what is going on in our world? Like, why is it
hmm
so intense right now? Why are there, you know why is there all this crazy stuff happening, basically? And I've had to check myself
hmm
into one, um moderating how much I consume, because I see the toll it has on me.
Yes.
And two, affirming that this is not life. Like
It
some of the
doesn't have to
things that
be my
I'm seeing.
reality.
Exactly. And I think for me, I'm so over this thinking that this is it. Like, oh, well, that's how the cookie crumbles. So I just like, it's just going to be like that. And I refuse for that to be it. Like, and this
Yeah.
is why I affirm. Like, this is why
Yes.
I affirm. This is why I choose this way. This is why I choose to meditate. This is why I choose to pray. This is why I choose to journal, because I know that there's more. And I think the work that we do, and even like us having this conversation, is like, I don't know, I'll speak for myself, but for me, is I just want people to have faith,
Faith.
have hope that yes, there's so much going on, there's a lot of chaos, but like you said, that chaos does not have to live within me. It does not have to live within you. Can we be aware of it? Yes. Should
Yes.
we be? Yes, we
Yes.
should. But it should not be to the sense, like somebody was talking about mental illness earlier. Like, it's crazy that people might not have the tools they need
hmm
to see outside of the life that's being portrayed to us. And I just believe that there is so much more for us, for you as an individual, and for me as an individual. And I think this is why I choose this lifestyle. Even when I'm affirming, I have um affirmations that I use to show appreciation to my body. When
hmm
I say these things, it makes me a little bit more mindful of what I'm actually eating. What I like, am I having tea today? Like, I want to be kind to myself. Okay, I want to use herbs a little bit more.
hmm
Like, because I'm speaking life onto myself, I'm also living life. The
Yeah.
power of your words is important, because what you say is how you will live. Like, I truly, truly believe it. I truly believe it.
And I agree with you on that in regards to, being mindful of what we're consuming, and then
Hmm.
also not settling with, this is what I have to decide for my life. And going back to
Right,
what we've been saying, I feel like the word a choice is very key right now in what we just are deciding to choose. That despite what will continue to happen, the chaos that still will come, you're being able to observe it, but not absorb it, but also know that there's a reality that you can still create. Like you said, not losing that. I can still experience, like you said, joy. I can still
right,
experience happiness, because outside of me is almost as if it's telling me that there is no hope, there will be
right.
no joy, there's nothing great that could come. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like being able to be outside of that illusion, not illusion per se, but like the
Mhm.
illusion sometimes we create, meaning that we're going to stay in this reality and that we don't
Right.
have a choice, there won't be a way. um
Exactly.
One thing I think you had said that I had forgot to mention that comes with this lifestyle and also being on platforms, which is something that I, in a sense, sometimes try to create a balance, but only can create in a way that's genuine and real for me. So, like, a lot of people immediately come into my page and things like that, you're initially going to get that, oh, wow, she's very positive, she's
Right.
inspirational, she's, motivating me and things like that. So you're not really going to see a lot of like my anger and frustrations. You will in
Right.
certain, like, you might see it in a caption, I might have it in my story, you know what I'm saying? But like,
Right.
for me personally, I don't run to social media when I'm at the height of those things. So it's
Yeah.
hard for me to be like, oh, I'm about to get on live and tell y'all how mad I am, like, because
Right.
that's not my initial. Sometimes I don't
Yeah.
even go to people, like, sometimes it's just like
Right.
I got to be with me for a second, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like for me, sometimes it's hard to, like, I remember someone told me, they're like, I was talking to them and I was like, man, I was so mad. I had an attitude. Like, I was, they seem like this aggression that I do have. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, no way. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, you don't
I'm
think I get
human.
mad? Like,
Right.
so I hate that feeling of feeling boxed, but I know that people just have to understand, like, what you're getting from online sometimes is only a portion of a person, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I
Yeah.
don't
It's
want to
like
be in
one
a
fourth, if
situation
that.
to where,
Right.
like, I always felt like I have to defend that, to say, like, I ain't always happy, like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, let me
Yeah.
show you mad so you know that. It's just like, come on, y'all. Like,
Right.
me personally, I just don't come to vent here. That's me personally, not knocking anybody that has the space to do that.
Right.
But the way I move online is honestly how I move in real life. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't always outlet there. It's
Mhm.
like my last resort. Like, I need real time first, and then online gonna get the after. You
Right.
know what
No,
I'm saying?
I feel that. I feel that. And I think I'm glad you brought that up too, because I think because um because of social media, like all
Mm-hmm.
platforms from Instagram, Facebook to all of them, YouTube, all of them, I think like for me, what I want people to take from me being on social media, doing what I'm doing, is
Mm-hmm.
that this might be a part of my goals. Like, I'm actively working on this. Like, okay, so that's what you're gonna get, but you're not getting the brunt of what it takes for me to even post sometimes. Like, you're just seeing me post, but do you know what it takes for me to actually post? Like, I have to affirm myself then too. But you
Yes.
guys, it's pretty much like you get to see the finished product, and we have to think about that for other people as well. You're not get like let's be real. you
Like,
know and even this lifestyle, because there are a lot of people like online who are in it and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Okay, self-care and positive living, it does not always look like the person who gives themselves a facial, a full-blown facial. Like, literally, self-care can be, I was laying on my bed for 2 hours more than what I expected. What do you guys want me to do? Take my phone and show you that? Like, that's not, there's levels to it,
Levels.
and that's a part. Like, yeah, that is self-care, that is positively living, but it's not always like, the post where it's like the plants and like like, that's not always real. Like,
Right.
sometimes self-care is somebody, like, I always say to my mom, like, I'm like, your self-care is being in the kitchen. That woman loves to be in the kitchen, whether it's for cooking or cleaning. Like, if there's nothing to clean, she will find something, because I really feel like that's her self-care. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not something that's shown all the time. Like, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? On social media, that's a way of positively living too. So I
Right.
feel like, um because we're talking about it, and we're talking about like the real is that, like, sometimes I don't know what my I have a journal with how I want my days to go, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes my day doesn't go that way, but
Right.
I find a way to make it work. Like, that's positive living for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not always picture perfect or
Perfect.
picture ready. It's not.
Right. And just giving people the space to, like, I think sometimes we have to be mindful of how much we sometimes consume with each other on an online
Mm,
base, that it kind of
yeah,
creates like this embodiment of a person. So like they're
yeah,
not doing how you kind of picture them to do it.
right,
So you have to recognize when you're doing that, right? Because
yeah,
it's hard for a person to show every part of their life in real time, like as they're lit. Like it doesn't happen that way. So a lot of
yeah,
times it is an after effect, it is an afterthought, it is a process that you can show in parts. But I'm
mm,
also a person that like tries to, sometimes when some things come to me, I am eager to be like, okay, let me share. But
right,
I also have discernment and listen, being obedient to the spirit to say, like, wait a second, you need to sit with this longer. This is not a place for
right,
you to even speak on this right now.
right,
So having patience and not feeling like I gotta go quick, like, content on
yeah,
YouTube, I gotta get, you know what I'm saying? So it's that balance of, that's part of me saying also I'm being authentic, where it is not just about to keep up with something. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's a real journey that's happening. And to even come before it to share, whether you feel like it's your passion or purpose, it's all still something that's happening. So giving that grace to other people when we are engaging with each other, because sometimes
exactly,
you'll find people tell me, oh, you was doing this and you changed. It's like, wait a second, you seen a couple clips of me, but we haven't even got a chance to engage. So it's
right.
like, can we do that? Because online will show you the real of society and what
Yeah,
areas
it's
still
a
need to be worked on.
reflection. It really is.
Exactly.
It's a reflection. It's a reflection for real. Like, I I definitely agree with that. I think, um I feel like when the level of grace that you give yourself, I think we need to practice giving that to other people. Like,
Yes.
definitely give yourself the time, the grace, all of that. But I think when you really practice that, I think you're able to do that for others also. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
And hold
So,
that space for compassion, because a lot of times before we get to try to tell somebody how they should live their life and what they're doing is wrong, sometimes understanding people's perspective, for me personally, helps me understand why they may be doing something. And
yeah,
I'm not in a place to say like, okay, I'm telling you that's right, I'm telling you that's wrong. I'm listening. Like
right,
something so simple as why you think a certain way could be caused by a certain experience that you personally experienced that maybe I haven't, that
right.
causes you to, and we're triggering each other. So it's like giving space to be compassionate and also understanding, and not fighting to say like, you need to do what I'm doing, or you
Yeah,
need to live how I'm living,
yeah.
or
Um,
we don't know everybody's journey just by being on it,
exactly. We
So
don't. We
giving
don't.
space for that.
I think we need to, like, and even again, this lifestyle has helped me see this, is that, like, holding space for people is like asking questions. It's just,
Mhm.
why? Or
Yes.
how can I support you during this time? Like, I think it goes back to just kind of like holding a respect for ourselves. Like, I think it really does start with self, because if you're able to hold a certain regard for yourself and really truly be in that, I think you're able to do it for everybody else, because you know that you've had a particular journey. So I feel like I think like our generation, and like this era of social media, I think we just like this, it's kind of like this fast track. Like, there has to be an
Mhm.
answer, and there has to, but like I just told you guys, like, I literally need to process. And I have been saying, setting boundaries by saying that. by saying, hey, I don't have an answer for that, or I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with this piece of information right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to sit with it. You know, before it was like rush, 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 but it's really these affirmations. Like just saying to myself, like, I need to give myself grace. So like saying that really helps me notice how the times that I actually need to chill out. Like
Mm-hmm.
going back to not needing to have a response for everything right
Right.
away. And and by doing that, I now know to not expect that of people. You know, I need to give them that same grace. So I just feel like it's a ripple effect. I feel like
Yeah.
this whole conversation is making me even more, it confirms even more that positive living and choosing a positive lifestyle, it has nothing to do with running away from your feelings. It's really addressing absolutely everything, because it affects not just you, but the people you encounter
People.
on the day to day. You know, the people at your workplace, your friends, your homies, your family, like, definitely.
That's so true. And just being able to like, what I noticed too, like going back to the different tools that I use on my journey with this voice memos, journaling, affirmations, gratitude, prayer, all those types of things. It's like being consistent with it. It also produces, when I'm not physically doing those acts, there's a
Mhm.
stillness that's happening in a fast-paced world. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? To where like you can, since you're aware of it too, it's like I'm gonna say these things to myself, like it's okay, like I can slow
Right.
down, I can give rest, I give myself permission to feel, I can speak
Yeah.
this way now because of the stillness that I've been practicing with myself. It's still
Right.
gonna be with me.
Right. 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 And I think stillness is also a very big part of this.
Yeah.
Like coming to a place, like like we said, it's chaotic outside. It's crazy. And there needs to, I feel like there really does need to be a moment where we're not on the gram, or we're not seeking like whatever it is, like from these things, and we need to
Hmm.
sit with ourselves. That's part of not running away. Part of
Yes.
not running away is not falling for the distractions, you
Distractions.
know. Part of us journaling is because we're also designating time. Like we're like, you know what, at this time it's me and myself time, it's me and God time, it's me and praying time, it's me and like we're designating that time. And in this fast-paced world, in this world where information comes at us a mile a minute, like like we need that step back. We need that you know what, I'm just not going to turn on the TV, I'm just going to sit in silence. Like
Yes.
we need that. I think I feel like it's really a whole lifestyle. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a
It's
whole
it is.
lifestyle.
And
It
it's the
really
one
is.
that you can choose.
You
Because
can
even
choose it.
recognizing and being aware of those things, it goes back. You made me think about like my rising routine. Like for one, like I don't sleep with my phone in my room. You know what I'm saying? I don't use my
Mhm.
phone until I finish my routine, whether that is
Right.
I'm waking up, I'm making some tea, I'm having some stillness, I'm having a moment with myself to process my thoughts. Because for me personally, you know what I'm saying, being able to be somebody that can be easily absorb everything and kind of throw me off, I don't want
Mhm.
to absorb everybody's thoughts
Right.
before I get a chance to even give thanks for waking up, or before I'm
Right.
able to
Right.
process,
Right.
how I want to move within my own day. So it's like I have to do those things to, I even do something like I just like not too long ago with my phone and notifications, or using
Mhm.
my online presence, or I would say online habits, to judge what I need to work on. I would like get on Instagram, I'm like scrolling, I'm like, wait a second, that's not even what I was supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you get
Okay.
lost.
I keep checking my phone for notifications. Do not disturb. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
take off the banners, take off the notifications. I will do what's necessary when I notice that it's moving me away from the direction of how I know I should be moving. So that's the
Right.
discipline and the accountability that sometimes I have to put on myself and say, like, these are things that physically distract me, and I know that. So instead
Right.
of being like, nah, I can handle it, I'll get on here and do my other thing, I'm being real with myself. Nah, turn it on do not disturb, cut the phone off, leave it
And
in another room, do what's
yes.
necessary. Because at the end of the
Right.
day, like, to have a full cup, to have a point to where you feel like you can even give or do any of those things, like how can you not want it to be still to do something like that? So that's just my personal take on that. I'm gonna be real with myself in that way, because if I'm tired of being overwhelmed, if I'm tired of being sad, if I'm tired of doing so, these are things that I notice that is going to keep me in a positive aspect to do more, which in turn would affect the people that I'm around if I truly love these people. You know what I'm saying? So it's beneficial for a lot of people in it.
No, seriously, everything that you said is a whole gem. And we've been repeating a few words like
Yes.
choosing. Like choosing has been a main one. And like a few people in the comments too talking about discipline and like just to have a full cup. We're not walking around with the empty cups in 2021. Like, no, somebody made a suggestion, Gijo made a suggestion for timer apps, like on all socials, having like a time frame. Still learning how to put my phone down and leave my phone down, protect your energies. Like all of this is so real, and it starts with a choice. It starts with a choice,
and that's life. Small
literally making the choice, small decisions. And again, we were talking about giving ourselves grace. Listen, we have to acknowledge like when we fail, where we fail at. Like I know that I sometimes struggle with putting my phone down. So I'll literally start small. I'll be like, you know what, today is the day. I'm gonna do it 3 times a week. Work with yourself. But I think it's also what you're saying is be real. Be real with yourself. Set like respectful boundaries for yourself. You know yourself the best. So be real with yourself and also give yourself grace. But it all starts with the choice. And I think thinking about what the fruits of this would be will motivate you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think what we intake also matters. I think and maybe we'll say this for another live, but I feel like, because it's like, but I feel like I want to have more conversations like this because they set reminders for myself too. You know, I want to be around people who can challenge me being on my phone all the time, you know, so that way I can do better. So I think what we're intaking, who we're hanging around, music, all of this stuff, believe it or not, it has an effect on will you do these things?
Right.
You know, I know a lot of people talk about like social media and how it affects us. And I feel like social media definitely plays a role, but also remember, social media is an app. You pick up the phone, you know, make the choice. So like, and if you are somebody who's on social media, like what are you paying attention to? Like, what's your feed like? I'm not gonna lie, I try my best to filter, because I'm like, you know what, if I'm gonna be on this app, I don't want to be consumed by the negativity all the time. Like, again, going back to, yes, I will be aware, but I want people who are giving me prompts. I want to be following creatives. I want to be, so I could be inspired, so I can be challenged, so I could find journal prompts, so I could find affirmations or lifestyle hacks or whatever that work for me, you know? So I think there are some things that we can't control, that's real, but there are some things that we can. And the things that we can, like, let's try to be intentional about them. Let's try to pay attention to what we actually can control, you know? I think that's the big thing. We just keep talking about choosing and choosing. It's like, I feel like the question is like, what are we choosing?
Right. And having that choice. And I know sometimes we try to like, oh, it's just the app, I'm just online, it's not a big deal. It's just social media, it's not a big deal. But we make up social media. And
we do
have, everybody's timeline is different, right? And you can choose, like, if this is an app that's working on some type of way, because look, this is something that's fruitful that's happening on the app, right? That you can choose to be here and things. And if you're wanting to allow what you're consuming a lot to be beneficial for you, you can make the choices of who you follow. You can make the choices of what you're liking and things like that.
What you see, what you don't see.
What you don't see, you know, and allow it to be something that if we have these tools, make it work for you in a way that is fruitful for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're noticing that you following a shade room a lot and you getting caught up in drama and it's causing,
Right.
unfollow them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, stop
Right.
seeking out those things if, even if you feel like, because I feel like going back to being honest with ourselves and being real with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and being aware is sometimes habit creates a pattern that conditions us in a way that
Ooh.
we think we move in a certain way that we not. You know what I'm saying? We think we have more control and handle of what's happening to us, but we don't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So not being able to recognize when something is causing you to go another direction
Yeah.
is a problem. But I'm also thankful for support, that people to say, like, sis, you know what I'm saying? Or to
Yeah.
come into to know the mission that you have for yourself and to create that support. But you still have to be accountable for yourself, because you're not,
You
I've been
too.
in
You
situations I
too.
didn't have support. I didn't have people that I had myself. So that's
Right.
something that has to be strengthened as well. So you can clean up your timeline every so often. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The
Honest,
algorithm, it's
and
the
ain't no
algorithm.
shame in
You
your
start liking
game.
a whole bunch of stuff about dogs, they gonna send you dogs. Like, you know, change it up. Start
and
clicking on.
and own it. I think one of the other things too is that sometimes the things that you have to do are not the things that you're gonna like. Oh, like like sometimes it's just gonna be like, oh, dad, spend less time on social media, but again, discipline, choice, like, you know, how bad do you want it? Like, be be real with yourself, you know. I think the things that they put out here is like as distractions for us, they did a good job, you know. I'll say it, like, they did a good job. But it's up to us, it's up to you, it's up to us, like how we show up, you
Yeah.
know. You literally, I'm just gonna keep saying it, make the choice, you
Please.
know. Make the choice for yourself, for your health, for your wealth, for the generations that come after, for the people you love. Like, just think about it, you know. Just think about how everything that you do,
Mm-hmm.
every word that slips through your mouth, just comes out your mouth. Like, just think about what you're putting out there and make a choice. Like, I will say, like, I want to positively impact people. Like, that is a goal, a mission of mine. So when I move, that's what I think about. When I
Mm-hmm.
post, that's what I think about. When I'm dancing, like, that's what I think about. Like, and sometimes I, going back to like anger and all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
this is why I have to process, because the bigger picture that I know that I'm part of is
Mm-hmm.
to impact. So I have to check myself sometimes, and I'm like, how is this going to impact?
Mm-hmm.
How is this, and is this how I want to impact, or is this how I want to do it? And sometimes my flesh is like, no, sis, go this way, but my spirit is like, nah, honestly, nah. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And I think it comes back to, like, literally having that time to reflect. It's really keeping it real with yourself, journaling, processing,
Mm-hmm.
even down to listen, like food, like just everything, just
Everything.
being mindful and intentional about why, what is your why, and why is your why your why?
Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah.
it's powerful in so many different ways, and even going back to the point of just even reiterating, you have a choice, but understanding and believing you have a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Believing.
I can choose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's power within itself, you know?
Right.
And these choices are happening every day from different things that we're doing that adds to a bigger picture. And at any point, you can choose again to change. You can choose
Yeah.
to do something different. So it's just understanding and having people understand, to see that light within themselves, that I can choose something different. If you
Yeah.
want something
You
different,
can.
believe that you can choose something different with
Right.
anything that you are
Right.
doing, where you are on your journey. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
it's a certain respect that you would respect, compassion, and grace that you would have towards other people, because how we are on our path that's designed for us, like we talked about,
Mm.
it's not linear, it's going all
Mm-hmm.
different shapes and things
All
like
different.
that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can I be in a space to where, like, I'm doing this alone in a sense, because I'm accountable for myself and it's my own path that's designed for me. But at the same time, we affect each other. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
still a community, collective type of aspect that's happening that goes into how we move. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
going back to choosing everything, choosing who we want to be around, choosing what we
Yes.
watch, choosing what we see, and in being real with that. Because as we were saying, that I'm like, yeah, be real with myself, be real with myself. Even if I can be real with myself, being able to feel the emotion with what I'm being real about. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
if you scrolling and you're getting jealous easily and you're comparing, being able to recognize when you're doing that and go address that. Because if you don't,
Yes.
it comes back to where like you being shady, you're being envious, and it
Right.
starts to take you out of your own alignment and your own
Exactly.
path. So it's like
Exactly.
the awareness, the choice, the honesty, the facing the emotions, and being able to, like what we said, to process them in a healthy way that's for our mind, body, and spirit.
Right. And
Because
this
we're
is
not
this
saying
is
that
why
you
this
can't be angry.
conversation is so important, because this is part of the positive living.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what we're saying. It's not always easy. You think it makes anybody feel good to be like, oh snap, I'm scrolling and I just got jealous. Like, it's not a very
Good.
good feeling. Like, it's not like, it affects you. You're like, when you have to address it. But this is part of it. If I want to not be this jealous person, if I don't want to live in comparison, if I have to address it. And this is part of this lifestyle, is being real about it. And
Yes.
I think this is why we wanted to have this conversation, because it's not peachy all the time.
And the perspective, the way that I think about it now, that helps me to face it more, and why I'm more courageous to face the things that may be hard within myself. Because honestly, they bring me some of the most beautiful gifts. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So it's almost
Exactly.
as like, yes, I know this is heavy and hard, but
Mm-hmm.
just overcoming it is going to teach me something that I'm going to need on my journey, right?
Right.
So if I do feel a certain emotion that's a lower vibrational emotion in any capacity, I'm going to address it, because it's also showing me something that is going to allow me to grow. So not
Exactly.
addressing it is almost
Mm-hmm.
like hindering myself. But
Yeah.
I'm also positive, like, okay, yeah, you was jealous, but why? And then it's
But
just like
why?
being honest about that and feeling the
Mm-hmm.
emotion to realize that, wait a second, you just impatient about something in your own life. But
Hmm.
why? You know what I'm saying? So now it takes the focus of where I'm all focused on this person, and it's really all about me, because
Yes.
not addressing it allows
Oh
you to
my
project in another way that
God.
it's not fruitful for how we want to move
Right.
positively. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. I feel like a lot of these situations that we find ourselves in, and the feelings that we feel, we can make it out to be, like I was saying earlier, like we could make it out to be social media, or we could make it out to be what it reflects within
yeah,
us.
what it reflects. Everything's a reflection if we allow it to be.
Exactly. If you are really thinking about it, it's a reflection, of where you're at, where I'm at, or where I perceive myself to be versus where I actually am. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's all a process, and it's all a journey. But we can't skip steps.
Yes.
We can't skip steps. And one of the steps to positively living and believing affirmations is to be in my feelings, is
Mm-hmm.
to address the moments where I am comparing myself, or the moments where I'm frustrated. Like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and I'm just like, I don't know why, but like sit with that feeling. And so listen, I feel like we could go on and on and on.
On and on, right?
I feel like we could. This was really good, but I do want
Yes.
us. I wrote down. I was like, I feel like we should end with some gratitude, some things that you're grateful for, and everybody on this live too. Please comment what you're grateful for, or an affirmation. And I'll be happy to start. So I'm grateful for this conversation. If you cannot tell. Like my cheeks hurt because I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes.
But I'm grateful for this conversation. I'm grateful for the opportunity that to learn. I'm just so grateful for it. for us showing up in this way and for us challenging each other. I'm grateful for the people who have tuned in. I think I'm just overall, I'm grateful for this season in
Yes.
my life. Like, I'm just grateful that I'm taking risk and that the risk are receiving me. Like,
Ooh, I like
um,
that. The risks are
yes,
receiving
they're
me.
receiving me.
I,
They're teaching me. I'm journeying through them, but I'm super grateful for all the creative flow that's coming. I'm just in a grateful season right now. And an affirmation, um I think I'm just gonna have I feel like I'm gonna have a magical week. That's
mm,
my affirmation. I feel like I'm gonna have a transformative magical week.
yes. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for this moment of
Hmm.
this opportunity. I'm grateful even for the support of sharing within something that we call just an app, because even to be in the space with you came from, you know, a sister pulling us together because
Together,
she
y'all.
saw how much this may work. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
work in the sense of like, you guys both journal, y'all would love, you know,
right,
and
right.
just being able to have a connection and do workshops and do collabs and that. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for creativity. I'm grateful for positivity that helps
Hmm.
me to expand in a way that not only helps me but helps the people around me. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for the Most High allowing me to have an opportunity to
Yes,
fulfill what I feel aligned within my heart to do.
yes.
I'm grateful for everybody here that showed up and chose to be here with
And
us and support us in this way, because this is so much of a space to where, like, in sharing what I'm grateful for sharing, because being able to
mm,
do this just so shows how much we can pull and exchange from each other, whether we're speaking and seeing each other or reading each other comments. This is an exchange,
yes,
and we're choosing to do it in a fruitful way because we want something better. So I'm grateful
right.
for that. um
Yes, all of
my
that. Yes.
affirmation is, I am worthy for growth. I'm worthy for positivity. I'm worthy to make a
I
choice to choose
am.
the reality that I choose for myself.
Yes, that is so beautiful. Everything that you just said on top of mine too, sis. Let me read
That
some of.
exchange.
I'm grateful for you both. Yo, you have been in here from jump. Like,
Yeah.
thank you. Grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for being. Yes. Um, this season has been beautiful. Same here. Grateful for God's mercy and his guiding Holy Spirit still here with me. This whole thing is a confirmation on my life. I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Um yeah, I'm super amazed at how well this conversation went. I'm honestly, I think we thought this was gonna be a one-time thing, but sis, I feel like it's
It
not.
can't be.
I
Even
feel
when
like,
we
oh, we
did the
should do
workshop, I'm like, yeah, we gotta do some more collabs.
this. No, this
This
was
also
amazing.
shows me how much more that the process and the journey doesn't have to be alone, to where, like, we
Talk
can't
about it.
collab and have partnerships. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
To even grow a greater, not so much for like we have to be validated in what we're doing, but more so
right.
to know to even expand, because
Yeah,
even we're getting something from each other, even when things
right,
resonate or agree or don't agree, it's just giving me something else to think about and
right.
how I can see it in my own life. So,
And
man,
yo, and the fact that like I literally feel like, especially with the people who have been commenting and talking back to us, like we literally, not just you and I, but like everybody in this chat, like we just built a community. We
yes,
fed each other, like that's major. That's major. And we have the power to, I'm sure, hopefully that during your week, you come back to these conversations and you think about, what we said about keeping it real with your feelings, and hopefully like it shows up in your life. Like I'm just super grateful. I'm grateful for everything that I've learned, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed this conversation. I hope you guys have takeaways. Yes, we are tribe now. Like it's official. It's official. We don't have to go through the process or journey alone. Definitely not. And I think this just proves that. This just confirms
yes.
that. And so I am so grateful. Be sure to participate. I have, maybe slight plug. If any of you guys also plug yourselves too, but I drop a new episode to my podcast every Monday. And actually, this what just happened here will be an episode. So you guys tune in. It's called Affirmantra. It has its own Instagram page. So all you would have to do is go to my page, click it, and then you'll be able to stay up to date with all the new episodes. I share affirmations. I keep it real. I don't lie. I'm just very honest, and I'm grateful for that process because it's just a way for me to keep it real about something that I feel very passionate about. And so definitely check that out. Thank you guys.
Yes, so I have a weekly journal prompt that I share every Sunday. So there's actually a new journal prompt that will be posted today. I posted on my YouTube channel, which is also Goldn.Light, so same name on Instagram, and I also posted on IGTV. So really, the Write It Down series is all about doing some of that inner work, getting that stillness within yourself. If you're new to journaling, you're not sure how to journal, I do talk about a lot of different tips on my page and on my channel, and just really encourage you guys to expand what you think you know about yourself or what you can learn about yourself. Just that awareness that helps you to grow within yourself and your journey. I will be having in February one-on-one journaling sessions, as well as I have self-care cards. So last year I had 2 different decks that I had, but this year I'll be releasing a new deck. So I'm very excited about that. I will more than likely be releasing them sometime next month.
Beautiful.
So my newsletter if you guys want to stay connected.
Yes.
I'm trying to get, I know after the saves, I'm not going to be able to say everybody's name. So whether you can send me a DM or something so that we can connect, I would really appreciate that because, you know, if for me personally, also being on this space and this app and things like that, I'm really big on being social and engaging. And so please. Don't be shy to speak your words and connect and things like that. But yeah, like you said, just keeping it real, keeping it authentic, and really showing up for myself and encouraging you guys to show up for yourself as well. So yes, I'm grateful for that.
Y'all are so amazing. Like Toya said, it's a social app, so please feel free to hit me up. I'm interested in learning more about you guys too, how we can show up and support you guys, and your ventures or anything like that. I'm here for it. I think building community is super important, and I feel like we just literally I literally told her, I was like, I think we'll do like an hour, and I didn't even peep like the time. So you guys have been amazing. I'm gonna leave. I am gonna put this up on the page. So yeah, I think that's all.
I was like, if we talk any longer, we gonna keep going.
Right. I like Bob. We hear you like, so what you think about this? Yes. Show up on a t-shirt too. All right, y'all. I'm gonna head out. You guys have an amazing rest of your evening, your day. Take care, and I hope to hear from all of you guys soon. Toya, this was amazing. I can't wait to do it again.
Love everybody. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.
Bye.